Hello, everybody, and welcome into the 30th edition of the Texas Longhorns live show here at the Voice of College Football. Can you do me a favor and please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel and what we're trying to build here. I really appreciate you guys doing that. Also, 'tis the season because guess what? Christmas is coming up, and use that Amazon link in the description. Does not change the buying process, does not change the buying experience. All it does is take a little bit of change out of Jeff Bezos' piggy bank, put this into Mark Rogers' piggy bank, so please do that for me as well. Also, if you don't want to watch me, you'd rather listen to me, catch us on your favorite audio platform, whether that's Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music. Type in the Voice of College Football in Texas. We have new channels almost every week at this point popping up, so please go check them out as well. I really appreciate it. Also, we have memberships now here at the Voice of College Football, 3 tiers, and if you request a video, I will make the video. We can also, once we build it up enough, we can have member hangouts and stuff of that nature. So please go over there and check those out as well. I really appreciate it. And once we build this channel up enough, this won't require memberships. We will have a call-in show. I promise that. My goals are about, I'm thinking 3,500 subscribers, and we'll start doing call-in shows regularly. I'll do them once a week. So please check it out, guys. So again, this is the 30th edition. There is my Twitter. Find me there at MatthewMS97. Thank you for that. Now, let's jump into it. Texas beats Arkansas 20-10. Not the most beautiful win, but it is a win versus a team that hates our guts, as Steve Sarkisian says. Steve Sarkisian during SEC Media Day said, I believe Arkansas hates Texas more than they love themselves. And Sam Pittman agreed during the Media Days, and I kind of agree with them as well. There's not really much to look forward to. I've listened to a couple post-game shows after the game of Arkansas. Tuss Talk with Ty, who joins us or joins the Mark Rogers channel quite frequently. Listen to him. He thinks Texas is overrated. You can make that argument, I think, but saying they're not a top 5 team, who are you going to put in the top 5? This is a down year in college football. I agree. A typical year, this Texas team isn't a top 5 team. I was actually thinking about this earlier, guys, the last couple of weeks, actually. I think there's like 7 or 8 teams, if you drop from, or you take from last year and drop them into this year, I think probably win the national championship, including last year's Texas team. So I would agree it's a down year, but I still think Texas for sure a top 5 team. Now, do I think they can win a national championship the way Quinn Ewers is playing currently? No, and let's talk about that. So Quinn Ewers in this game, guys, he was 20 of 32, 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not great numbers, but honestly, after watching it again, the numbers aren't what concern me. And I will say this, because a couple screenshots have come to light, and I could kind of tell during the game, Arkansas played a lot of 3 high safeties in this game, and this is something that I think Texas thought they were getting away from. Everybody, and I repeat, everybody in the Big 12 did this. Iowa State, Oklahoma State, everybody that played Oklahoma and Texas would play high 3 safety look. Do you know why? To keep everything in front of them and prevent you from attacking over the top. It works beautifully for that. The first team to actually implement it, Iowa State gets credit. It was actually Oklahoma State. Iowa State perfected it. You also are able to disguise your packages better that way. You can rotate into cover 2 that way if you want to, or rotate down into cover 2, I should say. Has this given Texas issues in the past? Yes, but then last year I thought they kind of figured it out. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think they were caught off guard by this. I think they realized, like, in the second half what they had to do, and they played better in the second half offensively, but the first half wasn't acceptable. And guys, I'm allowing it this one time. It's the first year all year that Texas has seen this look. You cannot be surprised from this here on out. Guys, it works versus Texas. It really does. It's worked the last 2 years. Now, have they gotten better versus it than the first year they faced it? Yes. But Steve Sarkisian, this can no longer catch you off guard. I don't care if it's not in the repertoire. You have to realize that this bothers your offense, so teams are going to use it. I guarantee you, if this team gets in the playoffs, we will see it. Would not shock me if Texas A&M deploys this defense as well. So Texas needs to be ready for it, and it's no longer acceptable to be caught off guard by this defense anymore. What concerned me most about Quinn in this game was he missed the easy throws. There were multiple throws to Gunnar Helm underneath. I think he missed one to Silas Bolden or Ryan Wingo too, where he just didn't put it on their body or didn't even get it near him to be able for them to make a catch. And he's usually money. 15 yards and in, guys. This guy, I think, is one of, if not the most accurate quarterbacks in football. Everything above that's going to be an issue for him. But to me, that was the most worrisome. And his footwork, again, was inconsistent. Was it terrible like we saw in the Georgia game? No. Now, was it great? No. but it's still, and it definitely needs work, and we're going to see what happens with that. They still didn't change it. I thought he got sacked 3 times. I guess he didn't. Bleacher Report didn't update it, so I'm going to believe Bleacher Report ESPN. He got sacked twice. Both of them were his fault. He stepped up into the pocket on the first one when he shouldn't have. He should have stepped back into the left. He would have had time. He would have been fine. And he didn't. He stepped up instead. And I realized there was pressure coming around the edge from Cam Williams' side, but you still have to – it's not that hard. Listen, if someone's coming here and the pressure's coming here, you step up to the left. If he does that, he has time. Now, am I saying he buys him like 3 more seconds? No, it probably buys you half a second to a second you're able to get the football away or find someone open downfield. The other one, I was listening to the radio at the time, and they said he gave himself up. That is not what has happened at all. He tripped over his own offensive lineman's foot, which is another thing. You can't be doing that. But I would actually rather that, because if you're starting to give yourself up on situations where there really wasn't that much pressure, that is a big concern for me. Now, if you're getting surrounded, there's a bunch of pressure, give yourself up. I have no issue with that. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, those guys did that. What they didn't do is panic in the pocket and give themselves up. That usually never happened with those guys because they were elite in their pocket movement. Also, I have to say this real quick. I listened to the first quarter of this game on the radio. I was at the gym. Only time I could go. That's the only reason I listened to this game on the radio. Guys, I have a degree in broadcast journalism. I'm trying to find a bigger job in that. I'm not saying I would leave this because I like doing this. Is what I'm saying is my real full-time job. Right now, I'm unable to do that. I'm unable to find a job in my area. I'm going to have to move. And then I listen to people on SiriusXM who get paid money, and they make some of the most boneheaded mistakes I've ever heard. First off, like I just said, Quinn Ewers did not give himself up. He tripped over his own offensive lineman. They mispronounced Jahdae Barron's name. Jedi. He's not a Jedi. It's not Jedi. It's Jahdae. There are multiple other things they got wrong in just the first quarter. There was like 7 I could think of at the time. And I'm just like, how do these people have jobs? So there's my rant for the day. I just don't understand it. I'll never understand it until you know, apparently. But my God. But yeah, that was the most concerning thing for me was he was inaccurate on short throws. So that has to get better from Quinn Ewers, because if you're not able to hit the deep ball and you're not accurate on the short throws, that's not good. Now, do I think this is a one-off? Yes, because it's only happened this year. Even in the Georgia game, he was accurate in the short throws. He just couldn't put the ball down the field. But overall, I thought it was – I'm going to stick with my grade. I thought it was a C-plus game from him. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was terrible. And I've been listening to other people, and I've been thinking about this myself too. I think the expectations for Quinn Ewers were fair, but now that we've seen him are unfair. And what I mean by that is he came in as one of the 5 highest rated quarterbacks in the history of recruiting. He came in as this golden boy with that beautiful mullet. Not really beautiful mullet, but beautiful mullet. And we built him up to be this next guy that's going to be a guaranteed top 10 pick, going to be a Joe Burrow type, and he's just not that. He's not. Now, is he an NFL player? Absolutely is. People saying that are dumb. There's this guy on Twitter. He's predicted some things right about Texas. He's wrong most of the time, though. He just yells about the stuff he's right about. And he thinks Malik Murphy's a better quarterback prospect than Quinn Ewers. I'm going to tell you this right now. Malik Murphy's going to be maybe at best a 5th-round draft pick. Quinn Ewers right now, to me, is probably a 3rd-round draft pick. And in a weak class, he could go higher than that. So we'll see. But, yeah, he's just never going to be that elite guy that we think. So my thing is, let's move on to the running backs and offensive line. That part of the team has to be elite on offense. And right now, I will say this. It was better in the Arkansas game. That was our best game, protecting, run blocking, and finding the holes with the running backs in a while. It might be the best all season, honestly, after watching it back. Jaden Blue had 14 carries for 83 yards, 5.9 yards per carry. Trey Wisner, 17 for 59, 3.5 yards per carry. But overall, they ran the football better. And when they needed to run the football better on that game-sealing drive, they did so. When they needed short yardage with the running backs, they got it. So in important downs, in important positions, this running game was there. And I thought the pass protection, again, was better. Do I think the talent of the offensive line is meeting the play? No, I do not. You have all 5 of these guys are going to play in the NFL. I think the worst one is probably DJ Campbell. He's probably going to get drafted in the 4th or 5th round. And it's unacceptable to have 5 guys that are going to be taken in the top 150 of the draft, whatever year they decide to come out, and you're not able to maul people at the line of scrimmage consistently. That is kind of honestly, that is the word for this whole offense. For Quinn Ewers, the running backs and the offensive line, it is consistency. There has not been any. that is what's so frustrating, because you see that drive to go down and seal that game when it's most needed, and it's easy. It's beautiful. Other than the Jaden Blue, thank God he fumbled out of bounds. It was easy as hell, guys. We were running off big chunk plays. It was efficient. It was really good play calling. Everything clicked. And it's like, why can't – and I'm not asking for 7 to 8 drives like that a game. That's unrealistic. Can you give me 4? Because if I think this team, and I said to win a national championship, and that's where the expectations, again, guys, it depends on who you are. If you look at the talent of this team, it should be a national championship appearance. I'm not going to say win. I'm never going to say that should be the expectation for any team. I think that's very stupid. If you get to the championship game, that means you can win it, which means that should be your goal and standard. And I think that's the case for this team. The problem is they are not playing like that on a consistent level, and it is very frustrating. And I said, if we continue to play like this, we're probably going to we'll make the top 8. We might make the top 4. I think that'd be the ceiling as we are currently playing. If you hit your consistency ceiling, you can win a national championship in this type of year. No doubt in my mind about that. Will we? I do not know. At this point, I would say no, but I don't know. I've seen Georgia, who look like shit, skull drag Texas. I've seen Georgia, again, Carson Beck's played terrible the whole year, even in that Texas game. Looks great. Looks like the number 1 overall pick versus Tennessee. I see Ohio State look like world beaters, and then they don't score a point versus Northwestern in a single quarter. So I don't know what to make of this year as a whole. This Texas team, I will say, they have the talent. They have the coaching staff. They have the quarterback if he plays well. But will he? I do not know. And that's why I think you're going to throw 5 to 6 teams in a bag. Whoever gets the hottest, whoever plays the most consistent, that's who's going to be your national championship team. And can Texas be that? I think they can. I don't know if it'll happen. I want to see this team, like I said, before the Florida game, I want 31 points per game here on out. That's what they have to average. Because that's, if you look at national championships teams, the average of the last 10 national championship teams was like 31.2 points per game or something like that. We were averaging about 27.7. And again, guys, this is with, I'm only counting conference play. That's all I did, because I don't care who you play out of conference if it's really shitty games. It does not mean a thing to me. So they have to be better than that. They averaged they had 42 versus Florida. They had 20 versus Arkansas. So that puts you exactly at 31 points a game. Now, do I wish it would have been more like 35 versus Florida and 28 versus Arkansas? Yeah, because it would have been more consistent. That's, again, the consistency thing. 42 and then 20. And honestly, I think the defenses are pretty similar. Now, do I think Florida tried as hard or cared as hard because they didn't have DJ Lagway and they realized who they had at quarterback? Probably not. I think that game's close. I don't think they win that game, but I do think it's closer with DJ Lagway because that guy's special. But still, this offense has to find some consistency because of this. This defense is special. This defense is a top 5 defense in the country at worst. At worst. It's better than Penn State. I think Ohio State, even though I have some real doubts about that secondary, is in that conversation. I think Georgia, when they play well, is in that conversation. I think Army is in that conversation. Yes, they have a really good defense. But Tennessee too, but again, iffy there. James Pierce is not playing like James Pierce. They're not getting the type of pressure from him we thought, or the sack numbers we thought. But overall, guys, our 2 biggest concerns coming to the year, we thought Malik Muhammad was going to be our best cornerback. Absolutely not. Jahdae Barron's our best cornerback. And I said coming to the year, I didn't think he'd be this good. Not saying that. But I told people to calm down. I thought Jahdae Barron was going to be just fine out there. He's a really smart, heady football player who has good footwork, and he knows the playbook inside and out. He knows his responsibility inside out, and he is blossomed at the outside cornerback position. And I said, listen, he'll play outside, he'll play nickel, and he'll play safety. He's done all of that, and he's been great at it. And I tried to tell people to calm down. Now, did I think he was going to win the damn Thorpe Award? No, I didn't. So I should have been higher on him, honestly. And then I also said, I think the run game stopping the run will be somewhere between last year and 2 years ago. It's not going to be the best run defense in the country, a top 3 run defense in the country. And it was like 30th to 35th 2 years ago. And I think we're somewhere in the 20s this year. And it's because of this guy. Alfred Collins, guys, has made himself a world's difference with the amount of money he's made. It's insane to me how much money he's going to make. If he would have come out last year, we're talking a 4th or 5th round pick just based off of intangibles and measurements. That's all it would have been based off of. because he was, again, kind of like the team, super inconsistent. You could see the flashes, but mostly he didn't play up to that. He is playing up to that, guys. He is the second highest graded interior defensive lineman in the country. Let me say that again. He is the second highest graded interior defensive lineman in the country. Last year, we had the top two, or I think either we had number 1 and 3 or we had number 1 and 2. I forget, but it was Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. We have the number 2 guy again this year. Like, phenomenal job. And then Jermaine Lole is 36. Vernon Broughton is 56. So we have 3 guys in the top 60 rotating on the inside. That's really good. And that's why we've seen us be good enough up the middle. And then I said this. I said we'll be good enough up the middle, but the edges will be special. Guys, you can go back and watch my preview. I nailed a lot of things. I told you Jonte Cook would transfer. He transferred. Hell, he transferred before the season ended. And I said Matthew Golden was going to be the second best wide receiver on this team. There's an argument he's the best. But yeah, I think Jahdae Barron would be this good? No. Did I think Alfred Collins would be this good? No. But I thought as a group they would be pretty damn good, and they have been on the defensive side of the ball. Colin Simmons, I think you'll see 5 to 6 sacks. He's already at 6. He's probably going to get 7 or 8, which is insane as a freshman. We're talking about, guys, next year, the expectation of Colin Simmons should be 8 to 10 sacks. And if Trey Moore might stick around because he's not having a quote-unquote great year. He's having a good year, but he's not having a first- or second-round pick type year. I think he's a third- or fourth-round draft pick, and he's a very versatile defender for us as well. He's playing all over the damn place. When we blitzed Jahdae Barron for that sack, he was out on coverage on a running back or tight end. I forget which one, but he was out in coverage like 20 yards downfield, and he was right there with them. There was no space for Taylor Green to throw that football, even if he could have. He couldn't have because Jahdae Barron was right in his grill. So overall, this defense has been phenomenal. We have the second best defensive efficiency in the country. I'm really proud of this defense. And offense, I'm just asking you to take it up a level. I don't even, honestly, reassessing about this year in college football, I think it's a down year. And when I talk about averages of national championships and 31 points a game, can you give me 28? If you give me 28, I don't think any offense in this country is putting up 29-plus points on this defense. I don't. So that's what we need here on out from the offense. Defense, you've been phenomenal. I have nothing bad to say about you. Next up, special teams, because this is important. And did I think we would be able to block punts like we did last year? No. You had Keaton Crawford, Keelan Robinson. I think they were 2 of the best gunners I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if Keelan Robinson's doing that in the NFL for the Jaguars, but he should be if he's not. Make total sense because they're a complete dog shit organization if he's not a gunner for them. But Burt Auburn finally 2 field goals made, so that was good. But this is going to be an issue and something we didn't get solved, and I wish we would have went in the transfer portal and solved it. Michael Kern on the year, 40.4 yards per punt. Anyone have a guess to where that ranks in the country nationally? I'll give you a guess. It's the damn last. It's last in the country yards per punt. That is, you can't get any worse. I can't say it's god-awful because I'd be 100% right. There's not even a word that I can think of that it is. It's below a pile of you-know-what. How can we not find someone that gets 42, 43 yards per punt, live in the 70s or 80s? Last year, we had Ryan Sanborn from Stanford. He was phenomenal, 45.5 yards per punt, which is in the top 30 or would be in the top 30 this year in the country. I would give a lot for that. That is going to come back to bite us, I have a feeling. And I do not like to say that, but all it takes is one shank. Guys, every little detail gets exposed in bigger and bigger games versus better competition. That's why you see the NFL has so many close games, because those little minute details cause them to be close games. When the competition's really even, that's what separates the teams, guys. That is what separates the teams. A shanked punt in the NFL could cost you a game. A shanked punt versus Louisiana Monroe and Colorado State, you'll just write it off. Oh, we're good. It's going to matter versus Texas A&M. It's going to matter if we get in the SEC championship game. It's going to matter if we get in the college football playoff. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. I don't know how to solve it in season. That's up to Jeff Banks, who has, and I agree, is probably the best special teams coordinator in the country. He's got to figure something out. And next year, we cannot go into this with this problem. You have to bring in a punter in the transfer portal or find someone that can punt. I mean, you went from having Michael Dixon, Ryan Sanborn, Ryan Buchevsky, who everyone hated. I would love to have him over what we have right now for Michael Kern and Ian Ratliff. It has not been good enough. So that is the Arkansas recap. Can you guys do me a favor? Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. And we're going to jump into a recruiting update in a minute because some breaking news did happen about a couple hours before I went live on air. And it's really big for the Texas Longhorns. Also, use that Amazon link in the description. Does not change the buying process. You can use that to buy Mark's book, help him out even more, put a little bit of money in his pocket with Amazon link, put a little bit more with the book. It is Christmas season, so do that. Join the channel via memberships. You can request videos, and I will make them. We'll have membership hangouts and such whenever you want, once we have enough people. And then catch us live, or not live, but catch us on your favorite audio platform. Please do that, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever it is. Catch us. Just type in the Voice of College Football, type in Texas. You will find us. Now, recruiting update. So, and I'll start out with this. Might as well start out with it. Michael Fasusi is going to visit for the Kentucky game. Guys, that is a big deal. 6 months ago, I said if I could have anyone in this class that Texas could realistically get, I would choose Michael Fasusi. And I'll tell you why. We're going to lose Kelvin Banks. Cameron Williams has gotten back on track. There's a really good chance we lose him at right tackle. Jake Majors is gone. Hayden Connor's gone. DJ Campbell is the only one that I think might come back. Michael Fasusi is the type of recruit that can slide right into that left tackle position and play right away. Then you could have him at left tackle, Trevor Gooseby at right tackle, and then fill in the rest. I feel pretty good about that. We'll see what happens, but he is visiting, again, from Texas, 6'5", 295 pounds, and he is the Oklahoma commit. The best thing I can say about this is Oklahoma has struggled. Oklahoma is not going to go bowling. Oklahoma, there might be a chance they fire Bill Beanbo. We'll have to see. I know they have a really good relationship, but still, you're going to look at a 5-7 team, and if Texas goes to the college football playoff, a team that goes 11-1 or 11-2 or 12-1, I think that's a pretty obvious decision, especially if 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen leave and get drafted highly in the NFL draft. How can you say no to that if you're Michael Fasusi? I don't understand how you could. And plus, the money's going to be even. And playing time's going to be the same. Brother, if you are who you say you are and you are who your recruiting says you are, you'll slide in and play right away. I fully believe that. So it's a big get if Texas can get it. It was a big deal to get him back on campus. We have not done that since the summer. He kind of cut off talking to Texas when he committed Oklahoma, but he has started talking to Texas again. He is now going to come on campus for that Kentucky game. Guys, that makes this game even bigger. Show out for him. Push him. Try to get this flipped. You only have about 3 weeks left to do it, so we'll see what happens after this game. And guys, I'm only going to concentrate on realistic possibilities. I'm going to tell you right now, Justice Terry is not a realistic possibility right now. Kevin Wynn is not a realistic possibility right now. It's just not going to happen. I knew that with Justice Terry. I'm telling you right now, he wanted to go to Georgia. That was a free meal ticket for him to go see Georgia again. That's all that was. I never thought he had any interest in Texas. This guy does. He has visited Texas multiple times on unofficial visits. I believe he has had an official visit. I'm not 100% sure. 4-star defensive lineman out of Georgia, Joseph Mbachu, 6'5", 275 pounds. It's going to be Georgia, Florida, or Auburn. I think Texas has trended beautifully in this recruitment. I said a couple months ago, I think he chooses Texas. I still stand by that. I think Joseph Mbachu ends up a Texas Longhorn. He isn't a Michael Fasusi type on the defensive line. He's going to need some seasoning. I think he'll play a little bit early on, 5 to 10% of your snaps. He'll get a lot early on in the season next year to get his development going. But this is a guy down the road that's going to be a phenomenal player. I really believe that. I love the measurements. I love what I see on film. He is a heavy-handed guy that can definitely pass rush a little, and he's definitely going to be able to stop the run very easily right away, honestly. So I think Texas does end up with him. I think he's one of our new commitments pretty soon. Right now we have 23 of them. I think he's going to be number 24, 25, or 26. I believe Joseph Mbachu does end up at Texas on the 40 acres. I really believe that. Next up, we'll talk about Chase Sims. Remember, his dad is a legacy, and Texas did not recruit him hard enough early on, so he is committed to Texas A&M. Like I said, guys, can this guy get over the fact that Texas recruited over him multiple times? Josiah Sharma, Myron Charles, Brandon Brown, all these guys were recruited over Chase Sims. And it's because he's a 3-star, but I still think there's a lot of development there. And I think he loves the University of Texas. I wish they would have went a little bit harder on him. Out of Texas, 6'2.5", 305 pounds. Again, a guy that's not going to play right away, but with the new scholarship rules and expanding and everything, I think it's great to have guys like this that you can stash on your roster for a year and a half before you have to throw them into playing time. And I wish Texas would have went a little bit harder, but it is what it is. Up until this point, I don't think there's a chance we get him unless we get him on campus. So far, he has not seemed to want to get a visit. He is in communication. He does seem to like Kenny Baker, but Kenny Baker is yet to get him on campus. So we'll see what happens with Chase Sims. I'm hoping we can get him on campus, guys. That would really be awesome if we get him on campus and try to convince him to get him to Texas. But I think it's going to be hard at this point, guys. It really is. We'll have to see about that. Next up, a new guy that has been in the fold for about 2.5 weeks now, Kellen Wiley, linebacker from Florida, 6'4", 225 pounds. He really loved his visit to Texas. He came during the Florida game. He loved the school. He loved the campus. He loved what he saw with the football team. And it's not just football. School is a big thing to him. And that's why I think Miami's a good school, if you guys don't know. Miami, Florida is a good school. It's a private school. It's a good school. And it's going to be Florida. It's going to be Miami of Florida or Texas. I think Texas is trending positively right now. I think I said Miami was up 65-35. I think it's totally a 50-50 coin flip as of this moment. This guy to me is a Mo Blackwell on steroids type guy. He can line up on the inside. He can line up on the outside. He can put his hand in the dirt. I think he will be able to put his hand into the dirt at some point. 6'4", 225 pounds. Put 15, 20 pounds on him, and I think he could be a real freak off the edge for certain plays. So I really like this guy, and I'd love to have him in the fold. It would give us a lot of defensive versatility with Smith the Robo, Kellen Wiley, and those guys, Elijah Bo Barnes. I think that he could rush the passer pretty well. So it's going to be very interesting, guys. I think these are the next, 4 guys that you're looking at that Texas could add on top of Michael Terry. That would be my 5 guys that I could see Texas getting. Everyone else, honestly, at this point is kind of a pipe dream. Maybe Dorian Brews gets thrown in that bag as well. But those would be the 5 to 6 guys that I could see Texas landing. Everyone else, I just don't see unless they throw a complete surprise on us during signing day, which they have done. The staff has done that. So that definitely could happen. But that's going to do it for the recruiting update. So again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. We're going to jump into this Kentucky preview right now. So Kentucky at 4-6, a really abysmal year for them. I had them going 8-4 preseason, and yes, I was higher on them than most. I definitely could have seen like a 6-6 year. They're not going to get there unless they win this game, and I'm going to let you know right now, I do not predict that. Kentucky is getting 20.5 points. So they're getting less points than Florida with a third-string quarterback. That tells you how bad it's been at Kentucky this year. That is abysmal. The over-under here is 47 points. So I think they're seeing a defensive struggle somewhat. I think obviously Texas will put up points in this game, but definitely seeing a little bit of a defensive struggle. So Kentucky on the year only averages 19 points a game. That is 116th in the country. They are really bad offensively. 4.8 yards per play, 113th in the country. Third down percentage converted, 37.5%, 82nd in the country, 3.9 yards per rush, 88th in the country, 6.6 yards per pass. That is 101st in the country for Kentucky. And a QB sack percentage of 9.09% allowed. That is 115th in the country. And that is with a mobile quarterback in Brock Vandagriff. Honestly, that is his best trait, is his mobile ability and his physicality. Defensively, they are still a solid football team, and that's why the over-under, I think, is so low. 20.8 points per game, 26th in the country. 5.5 yards per play, 69th in the country. Third down percentage allowed, 42.72%, so not great. 88th in the country. 43rd in the country, yards per rush at 4.0 yards per rush, 8.5 yards per pass. So their secondary really struggles, 117th in the country, and a sack percentage of 9.46%. So 9th in the country at getting after the quarterback. And guys, I will say this about the SEC. Almost all these teams are like top 30 in getting after the quarterback. It's insane how good they are across the defensive lines of scrimmage. It really is. So Brock Vandagriff on the year in 10 games, 57.8% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. This is what is so dangerous about the transfer portal. This guy was heralded as maybe he just had to sit at Georgia because Carson Beck's there. And no offense, Carson Beck's had a bad year, so maybe that was a sign of things to come for Brock Vandagriff. But you pay him, reports are upwards of $1 million, and this is the type of production you get. That's really pathetic. You see what DJU's doing at Florida State as well. So it's been a big problem with these transfer quarterbacks. Gavin Wimsatt is also a transfer quarterback from Rutgers. In 7 games for him, 40% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Now that's only on 30 attempts, but that's still bad. He's not an accurate guy. If you look at his numbers at Rutgers, he still didn't have a great completion percentage. Neither of these quarterbacks are very good passing the football. Brock Vandagriff does have a strong arm. He is mobile, but I really don't see many positives from him because he will throw you the football, and the offensive line is terrible. The offensive line is probably the worst unit on this team. I think it's even worse than the quarterback room. So I just don't see much here offensively, or even with the with the quarterbacks they have to exploit Texas. And I don't think you can. I think Texas' strength is the secondary. So I think he's going to have a terrible game. I think you're going to see multiple turnovers from either one of these guys, actually. Running back-wise, they do always have a good running back. Ray Davis last year, so on and so forth. Benny Snell a couple years ago. They have Jamarion Wilcox and Demo Sumo this year. Jamarion Wilcox averages 6.9 yards per carry on 69 carries. He has 2 touchdowns. And then Demi Sumo, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns on 109 carries. Both really good players, both going to play in the NFL. But again, running behind dreadful offensive line with bad quarterback play is not a good combination. They have made the most of it, in my opinion. They've done what they could. I feel bad for them, but it is what it is. They're not on my football team. And then this is the most depressing thing for me. Wide receivers, Dane Key and Barian Brown are their 2 best. Barian Brown has 26 catches. Guys, there were rumblings that Barian Brown could have jumped in the transfer portal and transferred to Texas, transferred to Georgia, transferred to any one of these teams. And guys, he could have been like a 2nd-round pick. I really believe that. And with these numbers and what I've seen on tape, he's probably going to be like a 4th or 5th-round pick, unless he just destroys the combine. And it's because he stayed at Kentucky. And this is the sad sign of someone that stays loyal to a program and what happens. They failed this kid. They really did. 26 catches, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not a great year at all. Dane Key, I believe the transfer from UAB, has had a good year. 44 catches, 686 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So good decision by him to transfer in. Barian Brown should have transferred out, though. So not very good from Barian Brown there or Kentucky. Fasusi is back on the menu, Dan. We talked about that. Texas could win this game like 13-3. I think we'll put up more points than that, but yeah, I mean, that is definitely a possibility, Dan. That is definitely a possibility. That could definitely happen. So defense, they're still really good. They have a guy at each level that's going to play in the NFL and be probably a high-level NFL player. Pop Dumas Johnson, the transfer from Georgia, 54 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. He leads the team in tackles. He's been really good for Kentucky. Deion Walker hasn't had a great year statistically, but he was all SEC prior to the year preseason wise, and he's going to go very highly in the NFL draft. He's a guy preseason had most people mocked him in the 1st round, late 2nd or early 2nd round. I still think you're going to see for late 1st round, early 2nd round. This guy's a freak. He's like 6'7", 300 pounds of pure muscle. He's going to kill the combine. J.J. Weaver at the outside linebacker position, 5 sacks, which is 1st on the team. He's a really good player, an NFL player as well. And then Teron Nichols, 5 passes defended at the cornerback position. He's probably their best cornerback. So you have a guy that I just mentioned at basically every level that's doing work at a great level, and they always have good defensive players. That's the difference between like the Big 12 and the SEC guys. Kentucky's equivalent in the Big 12 is like Baylor. Baylor doesn't have 4 high-level NFL players. They might have a year where they have a Terrion Bernard who's on the Bills now and killing it, but they don't have 4 Terrion Bernards, and that's the difference. So Kentucky, 20.5 points. The problem is if their offense was just average, guys, I'd probably take Kentucky. Their offense is abysmal. Keys to the game here, I think it's pretty simple for Kentucky. You're going to play keep away. You're going to do what you did versus Ole Miss. That was 42 minutes of time of possession for Kentucky in that game versus Ole Miss. 42-18, and they won that football game. What's crazy is that doesn't always translate. LSU had 42 minutes or 41 minutes versus Florida, and they lost by double digits. So even if you do it, doesn't mean you're going to win the football game. It will keep you in the game. It will keep you within 2 scores. And honestly, that's their only way to cover. So they have to keep the ball. How do you keep the ball? You convert on third downs, which they're not great at doing offensively. You stop people on third downs, which they're not great at doing defensively. And you don't turn the ball over. They do none of those things well. None of them. So Texas should blow them out. This should not be a close game. The only way it's a close game is if something bad happens, like an injury or something of that nature. We just completely, down our leg, 4 to 5 turnovers. Even then, I still think we win the football game, but just don't blow up Texas. Be consistent in this game. Be good in this game. That's all I'm asking, and I think they will be. I'm going to take Texas in this game 41-10, so I would take Texas minus 20.5. I would also take the over here. I think that's a little bit too low. I honestly think if Texas wanted to, they could probably score 48 points, and that pushes you over. I think Kentucky will score. It would not surprise me if we turn the ball over, give them a short field, and they score a touchdown or a field goal off of that to give them three of the 10 points or 7 of the 10 points. But I think Texas is just too dominant of a football team for Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's a very good team this year. In my SEC power rankings on the SEC channel, I had them as the second worst SEC team, and I think they're on their own tier with Mississippi State. I think they're that bad. I think them and Mississippi State are by far the 2 worst teams. And honestly, it's kind of unacceptable with the talent they have on defense. This should have been a bowl team with the defense they have. I really believe that. So Mark Stoops probably should get fired. Wow, 41 points. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to get worn down. What I think you're going to see is like 14-0 at halftime, and then I think they're going to get worn down, realize their offense can't do anything, and they're just going to put up a ton of points. I could be wrong. I could be believing too much. And Dan, a lot of that comes into I think the defense will probably score a touchdown. And I think they'll also give us probably one of our drives offensively to a short field, which leads to a score as well. So like 14 points accredited to the defense here. But I'm gonna stick with it. I've been decent at picking Texas on the spread this year. I think I've only missed 2 games. The rest, the over/under, I have not. I don't think I've been good at all. So don't trust me on that, but I think you can trust me on this one. I took them versus Florida to cover. I'm going to take versus Kentucky to cover. I was wrong on Arkansas. I said 14. It was 13.5, so I was wrong there. But again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. This has been the 30th edition of the Texas Longhorns live show. I am your host, Matthew Miller. You can give me a follow right there, and I really appreciate it, guys. I am here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so please like and subscribe. Keep the notification bell on. We will break in with anything like Grayson Littleton committing last week. That was a huge pickup for Texas in this class, the long, lengthy quarterback out of Tampa, Florida. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It's been awesome, guys. Thank you.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.